Tokyo Game Show happened last week, and there's a lot of news to talk about.
And we got a new character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
All this and more in today's News Roundup.
So Tokyo Game Show happened this year. Of course, it was all online. And a bunch of cool Japanese developers were able to showcase several games, several upcoming projects, and just give us more information on things we were looking forward to. And you could expect stuff from like SEGA, Atlus, Konami, Capcom, all those companies.
It is unfortunate, though, that it did happen online, but hey, at least we got to see the whole thing happening live.
Yep, but we do have some of the coolest things that we found from the shows, and let's get into that. What do you think, Zero?
Yeah, let's do it. First thing I'm going to mention is there's a new Kingdom Hearts demo coming out next month. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is getting a playable demo on November 13th. Now, for those of you Kingdom Hearts fans out there, you probably played through Kingdom Hearts 3 probably last year, maybe the DLC that came out this year. This is, of course, a continuation of that. It's not really much of a traditional Kingdom Hearts game. This is more of a rhythm musical game. That might disappoint a lot of people, kind of disappointed me as a matter of fact, but hey, it's more Kingdom Hearts, and at least we get to try it out before we buy it.
So the Xbox Series S is having a price drop in Japan. Zero, why don't you tell us more about that?
So, as you probably know, Nanners, and especially you viewers at home, you probably already know this, the Xbox brand hasn't really done too well in Japan, like at all. So Microsoft is really pushing to get into that Japanese market, and one way they're doing that is having a big presence at TGS. If you look online, you'll see that Microsoft had their own presentation for TGS, Tokyo Game Show, and they're trying to entice the Japanese market, and maybe the whole Asian market as a consequence of that, to get into the Xbox series of consoles. So one of the best ways to do it is to make the console even cheaper. So they did get a slight price reduction already before the console launched, and apparently the pre-orders sold out in Japan. So that's actually quite interesting, and Sony might actually have some competition when it comes to Xbox in this new generation.
It's cool. Do you know how much the price drop was? Price reduction?
I don't remember the numbers offhand, unfortunately. I do, to my understanding, it was like an equivalent to maybe $50, maybe up to $100 less as equivalent price drop. So again, that's only going to entice people even more. And let's remember, this is the Xbox Series S, not the X. So it's the all-digital version.
So during Sega's Day 1 presentation, there was a lot of looking back at previous consoles. They had this beautiful display, and they were showing off every single Sega console, all the way up to what you had, like the Dreamcast and some arcade systems as well. It was very nice. It was very touching because recently, as we already covered before, Sega had their 60th anniversary, and it was like the 35th anniversary of Sonic, or the 25th anniversary of Sonic recently. So they had a lot of reason to celebrate. So yeah, they gave us a pretty hefty announcement, which was that they're going to be doing something with Virtua Fighter. Now, it's not too clear. They kept it a bit vague, and from what I understand, people who actually spoke Japanese, what they got from the presentation was they basically said, oh, we can't talk about that yet right now. We can't explain just what that means right now because we got to go do other stuff. So we know something is coming for Virtua Fighter. We don't know specifically yet. This may not be the mythical Virtua Fighter 6 that a lot of us fans have been waiting for, but we did get to see a teaser. It almost looked like it was a teaser for a documentary about the Virtua Fighter scene. Like, you were seeing all this old footage from Japanese players in like Japanese tournaments over in Japan. All this like cool footage that was like probably like decades old at this point, and some other stuff with like esports. Like, they had like stock footage of esports. So finally we see Akira standing in front of blurred out footage of what is obviously Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, and he turns around and it just says Virtua Fighter X Esports.
Quite exciting.
Yeah.
Especially knowing you as a huge Virtua Fighter fan. I could only guess as to how excited you feel.
Very.
As a matter of fact, Virtua Fighter 5 was the first fighting game I played on my PS3 because of the demo. So I myself am quite interested. I'm hoping they do release a new Virtua Fighter because God knows they need a new version. They need a new game out there.
Yeah.
And if
Tekken
it's
already caught up.
Yeah, Tekken already caught up, definitely. And if we can get an esports focused Virtua Fighter game, I think that would be amazing. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so there's a lot of speculation in the Virtua Fighter community. I keep up with some people in the VF scene, and some people kind of think that this isn't necessarily VF6. Some people think that it's probably just going to be Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, could get ported to the PC, and then maybe Sega's going to try to push it on the front of as an esports game. I mean, I see some things wrong with that personally. Then there were immediately after this announcement came out, there were articles confirming that this is a VF6. They confirmed it. It's going to be VF6 and a bunch of other Virtua Fighter projects. I have no idea. It's very vague. They kept it really vague. We'll have to pay real close attention to Sega. But honestly, I think pushing Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown at this point is kind of a bad idea because that game is really old. Fighting games have no shelf life unless it has Street Fighter or Marvel in the title. There's a good chance that people aren't going to play it if it came out 10 years ago. So the only thing they could really do to get Virtua Fighter to esports is to give us the mythical Virtua Fighter 6.
Finally.
Yeah, and another thing is, honestly, I would also like to add on as a side note out of this, I'd like to see a full Virtua Fighter collection if they could. All the VF games and Fighters, Megamix, any kind of bonuses. Sega does a really good job at making these kinds of little collections, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do that for this specific game.
I completely agree. That'd be a badass thing to do, as a matter of fact. I mean, Capcom has done this a dozen times with a lot of their Street Fighter games, so I see no reason why Sega shouldn't do it with Virtua Fighter.
Yeah. No, it's very... regardless, it's really exciting. The thing is, though, you have to take this with a grain of salt because us Virtua Fighter fans have gotten excited for announcements or rumors or anything that kind of came up several times over. So until I see Virtua Fighter 6, until I see it confirmed, I'm keeping my hopes realistic. Another thing also, just real quick, is that a game like this is going to need a good offline scene. Because of the global pandemic, it's kind of a really bad time to be putting out a fighting game right now. So I would imagine that if we do get a VF6, it's probably going to be 2022, because you wouldn't be able to do any offline tournaments. You wouldn't be able to really grow it as a scene, in my opinion, Sega missed their boat when they should have. When Tekken 7 came out, when Soul Calibur 6 came out, that's when they should have put out VF6. But it's okay. Now we just gotta wait.
Dude, I'm in agreement with you. So, next I want to talk about Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Now, if you guys caught our previous news roundup video, I talked about how Devil May Cry 5 is getting a next-gen version with Virgil and stuff like that. And me, as well as some of my other friends, all said, well, looks like we got to get the special version if you want to play with Virgil on next gen. Well, apparently that's not the case anymore, because at TGS, they actually announced that Virgil is going to be downloadable DLC for the regular versions on the current gen consoles.
Oh, nice.
So that's not going to be an issue anymore. So awesome. All right, now the next game I want to talk about is called Scarlet Nexus. Now, I'm a pretty big Japanese RPG fan. I play a lot of Kingdom Hearts. I played a lot of Final Fantasy. I just finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, as a matter of fact, and I loved it. So when I saw this sort of anime-ish looking Japanese RPG, I said to myself, what is this about? Well, Scarlet Nexus got a new gameplay trailer, and it's a very more like fast-paced hack-and-slash action RPG with psychokinetic powers. I thought to myself, that looks like a lot of fun. And then I started seeing some of the enemies that you would fight in this game, and I said, oh, that looks very creepy, like creepy as hell. So during this gameplay footage they were showing off, they were talking with one of the designers, or talking about one of the designers, and how they brought him into this game so he can specifically design creepy, off-putting, weird monsters you would fight. I still remember very specifically this one monster just looked like a huge clay vase with, I believe, flowers inside of it, but it had lady legs and some sort of like a dinosaur lizard tail. And I just said to myself, So it messes with you a little bit, but it looks like a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of hack and slashing, there's a lot of combos. You could use your psychokinetic powers to lift things up and do some sort of ability and stuff like that. It looks like a lot of fun. It's probably going to be a game that I pick up if it does get a Western release. We'll see. They're gonna hopefully they're gonna show off more in the coming months.
Resident Evil is coming to a Netflix near you. They are getting a movie. It's called Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, and it's going to feature Leon and Claire, both characters from, of course, Resident Evil 2.
Now, from my understanding, there wasn't much of a release date announced just yet. Hopefully it'll be somewhat soon because it is October. It would actually really work well with the timing of Halloween, so we'll see.
That's true.
And talking about horror stuff, The Medium got a new gameplay trailer. Now, for those of you who probably don't remember, if you think back to E3, I believe, last year, and maybe around the summer this year, they probably talked about it a little bit more. The Medium is a psychological horror game where you play as a woman that has some sort of connection with the real world and some sort of disproportionate, weird horror world that are kind of in sync at the same time. And you can switch between normal world and horror world and try to figure out the mystery as to what's happening. Now, they showed off some sort of gameplay trailer. The lady ended up speaking to some sort of disfigured little girl that had a mask on, and she was saying, "Get away, get away." It looks very interesting, and it's something I really need to experience to know how it's actually going to work.
For fans of the Yakuza series out there, I'm sure you may have heard, but they announced that they are working on a Hollywood-level live-action Yakuza film. And we don't have too many details about it yet, but they did cover at the Tokyo Game Show. We did find out a little bit more about how that came to be, and that the series creator actually had to personally sign off in order for this to happen. So the movie is going to be done by 1212 Entertainment. Really haven't started a whole lot on the production just yet, but they needed the goodwill of series lead Toshihiro Nagoshi before they were even able to announce that this was going to be a thing. I think it's kind of interesting. I love the Yakuza games. I was kind of hoping that we would get a Yakuza Kiwami 3 at the Tokyo Game Show, but to be honest, I think Sega had said that they weren't going to do that, so it was a little bit foolish to expect that. Nonetheless, very exciting. I'll give it a watch.
Same here. It sounds very interesting. I'm also a fan of Yakuza. Let's see what they do. All right, now those of you who know us, you know that we're big fans of indie games. And during Nintendo's TGS stream thingy that they had, they showed off a few indie games. As a matter of fact, Baba Is You got some sort of award. Now, one game that caught my eye that I was very interested in was Fight Crab. Now, indie game, fighting game, where you fight as crab-like creatures. Yes, please. The game looks exciting as hell. It's going to be for the Switch. One of the developers said that he wanted to make a game about fighting crabs because when you hold the Switch controller, it looks like a crab claw or something like that. That's sort of his idea. You can use weapons. You can use special abilities. I believe I saw a crab shooting lightning out of its claw. And it's not just crabs. You can play as a lobster as well. I saw someone fighting as a lobster. And it's just so ridiculous, so stupid, it's something I need to play. So another reason for me to want to get a Switch.
So of course, what would Tokyo Game Show be without even more JRPGs? Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which was getting a HD remaster. This was previously announced. We got to see a little bit more of it at Tokyo Game Show. Specifically, they talked about the Merciful mode and detailed that that was going to be available as DLC at a later time as well. It does look really good. I'm a big Persona fan, so I've been meaning to get into the Shin Megami Tensei series for a while. I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. And of course, we also got the new one for the series as well coming up eventually too. And there was tons of other great announcements at TGS, as there always were. There was stuff for Hyrule Warriors, Nier, Balan, all sorts of other great things, and Resident Evil. But those were just the ones that we wanted to talk to you guys about here today.
All right, now that we're done talking about Tokyo Game Show, let's talk about some of the news things that we didn't get to last time. One of the major big ones. Microsoft went and did a big daddy move and bought Zenimax. Now, for those of you who don't understand who Zenimax is, that's the parent company to Bethesda. So Microsoft now owns Bethesda starting sometime around early next year, once all the paperwork is done and stuff. So, Nanners, do you want to tell everyone what that means for Microsoft now?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, Bethesda's, I hate Big B, but at the same time, they are a major part of the gaming industry. They own Fallout, they own Elder Scrolls. They have these big projects. Unfortunately, I think that the company really needs some reorganization. I think that they need to redo their approach to video games and whatnot. But that being said, they have these really big properties. Microsoft owns them now. Also, side note, what's really kind of interesting about this is the fact that not only do they own Bethesda now, they also own Obsidian. And Obsidian, if you remember, they had an interesting relationship with Bethesda because back in the day, they created Fallout New Vegas. And then since that moment, a lot of people have speculated that Bethesda's ego was hurt and they no longer want anyone else besides them to work on the Fallout series. So Obsidian was then shit-canned after that, and for Fallout 4, they just did it on their own, and Fallout 4 was awful. Nobody should play that game. But yeah, and then now they're both in the same... They're both owned by Microsoft. They have to, they're part of the same family now. It's kind of funny. Also, again, if you played Outer Worlds, that whole game kind of felt like a big middle finger to Bethesda. A lot of references to like corporations watering things down and like just lying to people, and what could have been. So it's gonna be interesting. Christmas dinner at the Microsoft house is gonna be very awkward this year.
It really will be. Now, that also puts in a lot of questions about the next couple of Bethesda games that are going to be coming out soon. Like, a lot of people are questioning what's going to happen. Like, are some of these games not going to be on Sony and Nintendo's consoles anymore? And that very, very well can be the case. However, any games that have been announced prior to Microsoft making this purchase, they're gonna go to these other consoles. Like, they already made these commitments and these contracts. They're gonna release on those consoles. But anything after that, it's all up to Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Microsoft owns Minecraft, and it's not like they aren't supporting Minecraft on the PS4 anymore. Like, they're still gonna put DLC out because that's money that they get. So to look at something like Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. Let's not put it on the PS4 because we own it. We're Microsoft. We own it now. That just doesn't make any sense. You're looking at a bunch of money you would get from this other audience, and you're just saying, no, we don't want any of that. So I don't know if necessarily that's going to happen. It definitely would be unwise, but I think what you could see is something similar that happened with the original Fallout 3 release, which was that game had... it came out on pretty much all the platforms. And then when it came time for the DLC, it was always the DLC was first on Xbox as opposed to PlayStation. PlayStation users had to wait, I think for one of them even a really long time, if I remember correctly. But the DLC came out later. So I think if anything, you may see that so that it kind of incentivizes people to come over to Xbox. But I really don't think you'll see like this game is just not going to come out on PS4. They would lose too much money.
Yeah, when it comes to a game like that, maybe. But again, if there's ever like a Minecraft 2 or like a brand new Doom, like Doom, God knows what they're gonna call it, Heavenfall or whatnot, I'm making that shit up. That's still a possibility. It's still very possible that Microsoft will keep it on their platform. So that's something that can't be tossed out. It is a possibility, but again, It's up to Microsoft. It would be more wise for them to release it on other platforms. It's just going to make them more money.
If you release it on other platforms, it's like you're putting your hands in the pocket of your competitors, though. You know, it's like, even though this is a sale for PlayStation, I'm making money off of it. It's like, it's genius. It's like a brilliant strategy. And speaking of brilliant, genius strategies, which again, Microsoft has been on this tear in recent years of just, we're buying all these studios, we're doing all this stuff. After this happened, or before, or something like that, I think it was after this, people were speculating that Microsoft was gonna buy SEGA, and that they were gonna announce it at TGS. That didn't happen. That was not a thing. If you heard anything about SEGA being bought, that was just a joke. Some people even said Amazon went ahead and bought SEGA, but no. I think a news story this big creates such big waves that it ends up affecting all these like little rumors and other things kind of pop up here and there. I thought that was really funny.
That is pretty funny. Now, another big news drop actually came, I believe, last week. Again, we did not cover this. It happened after we did our news video. But Amazon is pulling a Google. What am I saying? Amazon is starting their own gaming streaming service. All right, so they're going to call it Luna. And it's going to be a subscription model. So basically, you're going to be subscribing to different, I believe, channels, which have their own games on them. So the way they explained it, it's going to be more like you subscribe to Ubisoft. The introductory period is going to be about $6 to subscribe, $6 a month. And you're going to be able to play their 50 some odd games that they're going to launch with this month, as a matter of fact, in October. That's when Luna is going to start. So you can subscribe to Ubisoft. You can play any of the 50 games they have on there. The streaming service says it's going to support 1080p, 60 frames a second, supposedly. Again, Google promised that with Stadia, and it didn't turn out exactly like that, so we'll see what Amazon pulls. It's powered by NVIDIA technology, so again, here's hoping they know what they're doing with that. And they're promising 4K streaming, 4K resolution later down the line. Again, Stadia with Google made a lot of promises that it was going to be really amazing. You're going to be able to own these games, play it online, not have to deal with a console. Those promises didn't really come to fruition. It didn't really work too well. Here's hoping Luna with Amazon can do better.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a really cool idea, especially to get like people that don't want to have a dedicated thing to game in their house. They just want to like connect to the internet and they're good to go. But the problem is that you have to realize a lot of people, especially in America, we don't have great internet yet. Amazing high-speed internet is not universal just yet, so that honestly is going to cut into a lot of this. And then not to mention, yeah, I mean, like Zero said, Google tried to do this, and Google's also an insanely big company. So if Google failed, I mean, maybe Amazon could do it, maybe, but I would say that it doesn't look very likely that this will be any more successful than Stadia was.
Again, I completely agree. You said it better than me. Let's also remember that Amazon also owns Twitch, and they also own the Alexa devices.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be some sort of integration with Luna, Twitch, and Alexa. So let's see what Amazon pulls from this. Maybe that whole service that they have with Twitch, because it is streaming, maybe that'll have some sort of effect. Again, we don't know. They haven't launched it just yet, but it is going to happen this month, so look out for that.
Well, I will say one thing, and you're right. Twitch is owned by Amazon, and they do try to kind of tie that in here. If you're a Twitch user and you have an Amazon Prime account, you get a free subscription to somebody every month, and you could use that on whichever channel that you like. And they do little neat things like that. They recently, like maybe 2-3 months ago, let's say recently, they introduced the concept of stream watching. So you can watch things with your favorite streamers, like anime, movies, TV shows. The thing is, though, you have to have an Amazon Prime account, and everybody watching has to have an Amazon Prime account. And even though that was a cool idea, it was limited by the fact that you have to have that, all parties have to have that Amazon Prime account. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's really taken off that well. But again, we never know. And Amazon is not afraid of mixing things up and trying to incorporate itself into Twitch because, again, it owns Twitch. So you're right. That could lend itself to this new game streaming service.
All right, now again, only time will tell. Everyone kept thinking Stadia would do amazing, and it didn't. It crashed and burned. And who knows? Amazon might just be the second wave where they just come in saying, yeah, we're the big dogs, we're gonna do good, and then they crash and burn harder than the Hindenburg. So again, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
That is true. You never want to buy the first flying car. It's the second or third where the technology starts to get better. So who knows? All right, and for you Smash Bros fans out there, literally this morning, the time of this recording, was a reveal for a brand new character. So we finally know who the next character that's going to be DLC for Smash Ultimate is, and that is of course Minecraft Steve, the main character from Minecraft, one of the most popular games of all time.
That's right. Now, this really came out of left field, like quite literally. I woke up this morning thinking, all right, we're gonna know who the next character is gonna be. It's probably another fucking Fire Emblem character because I have a shit ton of them in there. Hopefully, I was actually hoping for a more unknown Nintendo character because there's still quite a few of those out there. I was kind of crossing my fingers for Conker, but whatever. But no, we got Minecraft Steve. And not just Minecraft Steve, we also have Alex, a female character from the Minecraft series. She's I believe, a different skin you can use, kind of like the Koopa kids can change skins and their names change and whatnot. You could also play as Enderman and as Zombie.
Yeah.
So we get all these characters along with Minecraft Steve as a playable character.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know too much about Smash, but there are things called Echo Fighters, and then there are also just different skins. So I believe that these are just gonna be like the different skins, you know, essentially the same character, you just change the appearance of it.
Yeah, not just the appearance. Again, if they have a voice, which again, I don't know if they're gonna put voices in this game for these characters, but if they do have a voice, it'll change. So instead of hearing Steve going, ugh, you'll hear more of like a woman yell out if you play as Alex. Or Enderman, you're probably not hear anything because it's Enderman. Zombie, you're probably gonna hear.
I just meant that it's all like a aesthetic change. It's not necessarily the character has new unique moves or something like that.
And again, gameplay for Minecraft Steve and his other iterations looks pretty interesting. They put a lot of creation tools into him. Like you could use the pickaxe for an attack. You could also dig up a new sword, or maybe actually no, not even dig up a sword. You can create a new sword and use it while playing a match. So like you'll put out a bench, you'll make the sword, use the sword. I believe you could also make the pickaxe. You could also dig up some dirt and whatnot. And the Minecraft stage is also pretty insane. A lot of people compared it to the Mario Maker stage that's in Smash Brothers, if there is one, I believe, where it's constantly changing.
What I found interesting was also that they let you put blocks down, so like little blocks from Minecraft, and it kind of seemed like you could spam the stage and make little like houses and stuff around the other players in the match. Seems kind of weird. Seems like it's gonna be very obnoxious to play against that. I don't know. I also really like the stage. The stage, of course, looked really good. I think it's an interesting addition. I think a lot of people were expecting this as well. Some people on the internet have written, finally, he's in Smash. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great addition to the cast for sure. It definitely makes sense. I'm sure a lot of people that have a Switch and have Smash Bros. Also have Minecraft to play, so that's totally perfect. But yeah, it always, around this time, it always brings up kind of the question like, well, who did you think that it was going to be? Who would you want to be in Smash Bros? So what do you think, Zero?
Anybody who knows me, you especially know me, Nanners, I always wanted to see Crash in Smash Brothers. Especially because you already have Mario, you now have Sonic. I want that 90s freaking console war brawl. I want to see Mario versus Sonic versus Crash. I want to see that. I also would love to see Spyro in Smash Brothers. But again, it's all up to Activision to see if that ever happens.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to see Crash in Smash. That's hard to say. For sure. That I think he would make a great addition. And me personally, though, I have been hoping for this for the longest time, probably the last like 2 Smash Bros games, since they really started to like get carried away with Ultimate. I really want to see Travis Touchdown in Smash Bros because that series started on the Nintendo. I think 3 may actually be an exclusive for the Switch too. It's like they gotta put Travis Touchdown. He will be so perfect. Of course, he's another sword fighter, but I mean, they could come up with so many wacky things because he's not just a sword fighter. He's a sword fighter in like a silly parody satirical type of game, and a great game too. So I think that would be a fantastic addition to Smash if they just put Travis Touchdown into the game.
Dude, you know what? I second that. If we can't have Crash, at least Travis, because he's also an awesome character. He would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's fun to see. And I wonder how many more characters we're gonna get. I mean, they've already done, I think, like what is it? This probably is like the 5th or the 6th, maybe even further. I've kind of stopped paying attention because it was all this Fire Emblem guys. But yeah, I mean, we're approaching probably maybe 10 DLC characters. Kind of seemed like when they released this game, they didn't really want to do too much DLC, but here we are, and it doesn't seem like it's letting up anytime soon. So I don't know what's the deal with that. But yeah, this game is gonna, by the end of this game's life cycle, there's gonna be so many damn characters in there. It's gonna be ridiculous.
I personally think that Sakurai is just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done making new versions. We're going to keep this one alive as long as possible. And these motherfuckers are going to stop complaining, all right? I'm going to put whatever the fuck I want in this game. Deal with it. I literally think that's how Sakurai is just thinking.
Makes sense. Makes sense. It definitely probably is easier to just keep putting DLC instead of having to make a whole new game.
Yeah.
And another thing that's kind of interesting is that if they, let's say they did make a Smash Ultimate 2, whatever, another game after this one, it's going to be hard to follow up on this. There's no way all these characters are coming back. There's no way that they're going to get all the money for these characters to put them back into a sequel. So if we get another Smash Bros. Game after it, it's going to have a more disappointing roster. I think we all got to expect that at this point.
No, definitely. Ultimate, they called it Ultimate for a reason. It's going to be the ultimate version of Smash. And again, any of you Smash Brother players out there, keep that in mind. If we ever do get a new one, Nanner said it first, we're not going to get all those characters back. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. This is going to be probably the biggest Smash Bros roster of all time.
All right, everyone. So that's going to do it for today's news roundup video. Thank you so much for watching this beefy episode. Nanners, what do you want to say to the audience?
Support Tokyo Game Show, support JRPGs. Yeah. No, if you guys had any questions or comments, let us know in the comment section below. Let us know what you thought about these announcements. Did we miss something? Is there something that you wanted us to talk about but we didn't? You got the comment section. Go take it down there below.
That's right. Make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and of course, stay tuned for more awesome content.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.